right. So you guys wanted us to do a deep dive on love and relationships.
Mm-hmm.
And we always love to get real here.
Yes.
So we're going to go deep
Oh.
with relationship expert Stefan Speaks.
Yes.
We've got some excerpts from his conversation with Jay Shetty.
Okay.
And let me tell you, this isn't your typical surface level advice.
No, not at all.
This is about going way deeper
Yeah.
than just like, the feel-good stuff.
Mm.
We're going beyond the fairy tales and really understanding the dynamics at play
Right.
in love, connection, and compatibility.
It's the real deal.
Yeah, we're talking self-awareness, intuition, the dangers of trying to fix someone, like the stuff that actually matters.
The stuff that matters.
So get ready to challenge some assumptions.
Yeah, Stefan actually sets the tone right from the start
Okay.
by asking a question that might make some people uncomfortable.
Oh, really?
Do you truly love them?
Whoa.
It's like he's saying before you even think about the other person, you need to check in with yourself first.
I like that.
Like, what's going on inside?
Yeah, because we often get so caught up
Yeah.
in, how someone makes us feel
Right.
without really examining our own feelings.
Exactly.
Like, are we truly in love with this person?
Yeah. Are we projecting?
Or are we in love with the idea of them or the idea of love or the idea of being in a relationship?
Right.
It's so powerful.
And what's fascinating is how Stefan brings a spiritual perspective to this.
Okay, I like this.
He talks about love as a choice,
Oh, interesting.
not just a feeling.
Okay.
It's about aligning your intentions with your actions.
I see.
He actually compares it to the way people approach religion sometimes.
Oh, wow.
Where it's more about showing up for the rituals
Right.
without truly embodying the deeper meaning.
Right.
And he's saying the same can happen in relationships. We might
Yeah.
go through the motions
Right.
without truly understanding what it means to love someone.
No, that's deep.
Deep stuff, right?
Yeah, so how do we know if it's real?
Yeah,
I mean, we all experience that initial spark,
of course.
that infatuation.
Uh-huh.
But how do you tell the difference
Yes.
between that and genuine love?
He makes a clear distinction.
Oh,
Infatuation is that rush of excitement.
yeah.
It's almost obsessive focus on the other person.
Oh, yeah.
It's very driven by chemistry, by hormones, by the novelty of something new.
You get those butterflies?
Yeah, you get the butterflies.
Yeah, it feels amazing.
And let's be honest, it feels amazing.
Oh, yeah.
It's great.
But that's not the whole picture.
But that's not the whole picture. It's
Right.
like the trailer, not the whole movie.
Okay.
And it can fade as quickly as it arrives.
Right.
True love, on the other hand,
Yeah.
is built on a foundation of respect,
Mm-hmm.
genuine care, understanding, and a willingness to be there through the ups and downs.
That's real.
The real deal.
Yeah, it's about seeing beyond the surface
Yeah,
and recognizing that lasting love requires effort and commitment,
it does.
not just, the initial excitement. And speaking of seeing beyond the surface,
Yes,
Stefan Jagay debunk the whole love at first sight myth.
they do.
They break it down into 3 key elements:
Okay.
connection, chemistry, and compatibility.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I feel like we've all heard these terms
Yeah.
thrown around.
Right.
But what do they actually mean
Yeah.
in the context of a relationship?
So connection is that deep sense of resonance you feel with someone. It's
Right.
like you just get each other,
Yeah.
and it's rare,
Mm-hmm.
and it usually happens very quickly.
Okay.
Then there's chemistry, which is that spark, that
Mhm.
initial attraction,
Yeah.
which can be super intense.
Yes.
So connection is more about that emotional and intellectual level,
Okay.
and chemistry is more about that physical and emotional spark.
Got it.
And you can have chemistry with lots of people,
Interesting.
but a true connection
Yeah,
is much rarer.
that makes sense.
It's about feeling seen and understood on a deeper level.
I see. So you might have incredible chemistry with someone, but if you don't have that connection,
Right.
it's probably unlikely to lead to a fulfilling, lasting relationship.
Most likely.
And that's where compatibility comes in.
Exactly.
So it's about having shared values, goals, and lifestyles.
Mm-hmm.
It's about being able to navigate life's challenges together.
Yeah. In harmony.
Yeah. So it sounds like compatibility is where the rubber meets the road.
Yeah.
You can have that initial connection and chemistry.
Mm-hmm.
But if your life goals and values are fundamentally different,
Yes.
it's going to create friction down the line.
Big time.
And that friction's not going to magically disappear.
It won't.
Right.
And it takes time and effort
Hmm.
to truly assess compatibility.
Really?
It's about getting to know someone deeply,
Mhm.
understanding their dreams, their fears, their quirks.
Their baggage.
Yes. All of it.
So how do you know
Yeah.
if a relationship just isn't right?
You-
Sometimes it's obvious, but other times it's more subtle.
Yeah.
What are some red flags people should watch out for?
Stephen Speaks is a big advocate
Okay.
for women's intuition.
Interesting.
He says women often know very early on
Yeah.
if something is off,
Yeah.
but they tend to rationalize it away
They ignore it.
or ignore those gut feelings.
Mm-hmm.
But those feelings are usually trying to tell you something important.
Oh, that's so true.
Right?
I think we've all had those moments where we're like, I had a feeling,
You knew.
but I talked myself out of it.
Mm-hmm.
So what are some of the more concrete signs
Yeah.
that you might be wasting time in a relationship?
One of the biggest is a lack of communication.
Okay.
If someone is unwilling to talk openly and honestly about their feelings, their needs, or issues that arise,
Okay.
that's a major warning sign.
Big red flag.
If you're constantly walking on eggshells or feeling like you can't be yourself, that's a problem.
You're not going to be happy.
Not at all.
So you're saying that open communication
Open and honest communication
is a non-negotiable in a healthy relationship.
Absolutely.
It's the foundation for everything else.
Yes, for trust, intimacy, and growth.
Another thing to pay attention to is whether you're aligned on your goals. If you want different things out of life.
Yes.
Whether it's about careers, family, or where you want to live.
Right.
That's going to create constant friction.
It will.
And that friction isn't going to magically disappear.
It won't.
Right?
You shouldn't have to force it.
Exactly.
A healthy relationship should feel like a partnership.
Yes.
Where you're both working towards something fulfilling together.
I love that.
It's about wanting similar things.
Yeah.
And supporting each other's journeys.
Supporting each other's growth.
Yes. And it's interesting how all of this ties back to this idea of presenting a representative.
Oh, yeah.
That Stephen talks about.
Yep.
He says people often try to mold themselves into what they think the other person wants, putting on a show, instead of being their authentic selves.
I've totally been there.
Yeah.
Especially like in the early stages of dating.
Oh, for sure.
You want to make a good impression.
Yes.
So you might downplay certain aspects of yourself or try to fit into a mold that you think is more appealing.
Right.
But that's not sustainable in the long run.
Not at all.
You can't keep up the act forever.
And Jay Shetty actually shares a personal story about this.
Oh, really?
From the beginning of his relationship with his wife.
Okay.
He was so focused on impressing her that he ended up setting some unrealistic expectations.
Like what?
Particularly around how he was spending his time.
Oh, interesting.
So it's like you're building this facade.
Yeah.
And eventually the cracks start to show.
Right.
You can't keep it up forever.
So it makes me think about that wilderness period that Stephen emphasizes.
He's a big believer. Yeah. In taking that time for self-discovery and solitude, even if you're not coming out of a breakup. Yeah. It's about disconnecting from the noise of the world.
Yeah.
And really getting to know yourself.
Right. Like your values, your needs, your desires.
All of it.
Understanding who you are at your core without the influence of others.
Exactly.
And that's how you avoid falling into that trap of trying to be someone you're not in a relationship.
And he talks about how that period of introspection often involves confronting your fears, insecurities, and any unresolved trauma from your past.
Oh, that's deep.
It's deep work, but it's necessary.
Yeah, you got to face those things head on.
You do.
So they don't sabotage your future relationships.
Exactly.
So it's not just about being single.
Right.
It's about becoming whole within yourself.
Yes.
Regardless of your relationship status.
It's about building that strong foundation so you can enter into relationships from a place of self-awareness and strength.
Not neediness or desperation.
Exactly.
It's about attracting a partner who aligns with the real you.
Yes.
Not the representative you've been presenting to the world.
The mask comes off.
So now let's talk about those inevitable bumps in the road that every relationship experiences.
For sure.
Is it true that some relationships are just meant to be hard work?
Well.
Or is that a misconception?
Stephen believes that the difficulty many couples experience isn't inherent to relationships themselves, but rather a reflection of the baggage people bring into them.
Oh, that's interesting.
Unresolved trauma, past hurts and insecurities,
all that stuff
can create a lot of friction.
So it's not that love itself is hard,
Right.
but that our own stuff can make it feel that way.
It gets in the way.
It's like carrying around those heavy suitcases from previous relationships, and they weigh us down in the present.
They do.
And that's where the real work comes in.
Exactly.
It's about being willing to unpack those suitcases.
Yes.
To look inward. To heal those old wounds. And to communicate openly with your partner.
Yeah.
So you can navigate those challenges together.
That's the key.
There's this misconception that if it's true love, it should be effortless.
Right.
But realistically, every relationship requires effort.
It does.
Right.
And Stefan talks about how challenges can actually be opportunities for growth.
Oh, I like that.
It's in those difficult moments that you really learn about yourself, your partner, and the strength of your bond.
So it's not about avoiding conflict.
Right.
But about learning how to navigate it in a healthy way.
Exactly.
And that's something you can only do if you've done that inner work that we were talking about earlier.
That foundation is so important.
Now I want to touch on something that often comes up when we talk about relationships. Masculine and feminine energy.
Yes.
It seems like it gets thrown around a lot.
It does.
But I think a lot of people struggle with what it actually means and why it's important.
Well, essentially, Stefan believes that both men and women possess both masculine and feminine energies. But usually one is more dominant. Masculine energy is associated with qualities like assertiveness, drive, and taking action. While feminine energy is more about nurturing receptivity and intuition.
So it's not about fitting into stereotypical gender roles, but rather understanding and embracing these different aspects within ourselves and our partners.
And Stefan emphasizes that confidence and knowing when to walk away
that's good.
are key components of healthy masculine energy.
Okay.
It's not about being controlling or domineering, but about having a strong sense of self and clear boundaries.
It's about owning your worth.
Yes.
And not settling for less than you deserve.
And he talks about how that sense of self-assurance actually allows for more space.
Oh, interesting.
For feminine energy to flourish.
That's interesting because it challenges this idea that these energies are in opposition to each other. Instead, it sounds like they can actually complement each other.
They can.
In a healthy relationship.
Absolutely.
It's about finding that balance.
Yeah.
And allowing each person to express their authentic selves.
So we've talked about the good stuff. The sparks, the connection.
All the fun stuff.
But what about the tough stuff?
Yeah.
When do you know it's time to let go of a relationship?
That's the hard part.
Nobody enters into a relationship thinking it's going to end.
Yeah.
But sometimes it's the healthiest choice.
It is.
Stefan makes an important distinction.
Okay.
That letting go doesn't always mean forever.
Oh, that's interesting.
Sometimes it's about creating space for individual growth.
I see.
Which might eventually lead to a stronger connection down the road.
So it's not always about like a dramatic final break.
Yeah.
But recognizing when something needs to shift or change to become healthier.
What are some signs that it might be time to step back?
Okay.
Even if it's painful.
He emphasizes that communication is key.
It is.
If you've tried to address issues to express your needs, and the other person is resistant or dismissive, that's a major red flag.
It is a sign.
It's like you're both rowing a boat, but one person has their oars up in the air, enjoying the scenery.
Just along for the ride.
While the other is struggling to keep it afloat.
Exactly.
He suggests if you've reached an impasse in communication, try writing a letter.
Okay.
To express your deeper concerns.
Yeah.
Thoughtfully and clearly.
Sometimes that's easier.
Yeah, it allows you to articulate your feelings. Without the emotional charge of a face-to-face conversation.
It can be really helpful.
And it gives the other person time to process.
Yes.
What you're saying.
It's a way to communicate in a calmer, more intentional way.
I like that.
But what if you've tried everything and nothing seems to change?
How do you know when it's time to walk away for good?
He says that sometimes the most compassionate thing you can do for both yourself and the other person is to let go.
That's hard.
It might be the hardest decision, but it can also be the most liberating.
It can.
A lot of people stay in relationships longer than they should because they're afraid of being alone or starting over.
That's scary.
But Stefan reminds us that being alone doesn't have to be a negative experience.
Okay.
It's an opportunity for self-discovery, growth, and rediscovering your own strength.
It's a chance to go back to that wilderness period.
Exactly.
And emerge even stronger and more self-aware.
It's like that saying...
What's that?
Sometimes you have to lose yourself to find yourself.
Ooh, I like that.
Right.
And sometimes that means letting go of relationships that no longer serve you.
Even if it's heartbreaking.
I think that's a perfect place to pause for now.
Okay.
We've covered so much ground already.
We have.
From defining true love to navigating those tricky bumps in the road.
All the important stuff.
And we'll pick back up in part 3.
Yes.
Where we dive into the often messy.
It can be.
But ultimately empowering.
It is.
Process of healing and moving on.
I'm looking forward to it.
So we talked about recognizing when it's time to let go of a relationship. But that's often easier said than done.
Way easier.
Breakups are rough.
They are.
Emotionally.
Yeah.
And even physically.
Yeah, there's a reason they call it heartbreak, right?
Exactly.
It's not just a metaphor.
Really?
Stefan actually shares some fascinating research that shows breakups activate the same areas of the brain that are activated during cocaine withdrawal.
What?
We're talking about a real physical craving.
So it's no wonder people feel so lost and heartbroken after a split.
It's like going through actual withdrawal.
Yeah.
And he emphasizes that it's not just about healing from the breakup itself, but from all the past hurts and traumas that might be contributing to unhealthy patterns.
It's like a detox.
Yeah.
For your emotional well-being.
That's a great way to put it.
You have to get rid of the bad stuff to make room for something healthier.
And just like with any kind of detox, it's helpful to have support.
So speaking of support, Stefan talks about the importance of having an accountability partner during the healing process.
Yes.
Who can fill that role.
Yeah.
And what does that look like practically?
An accountability partner can be a trusted friend.
Okay.
A therapist, a coach, or even a family member.
Yeah.
Anyone who can offer a listening ear, provide encouragement, and help you stay on track with your goals.
So it's about having someone who can hold space for your pain.
Yeah.
But also gently nudge you towards growth and healing.
Because it's so easy to isolate yourself. Or fall back into old patterns when you're hurting.
And having someone to check in with, someone who reminds you of your worth and your goals, can make a world of difference.
For sure.
He also talks about this tendency to try to fix others.
Yes.
Instead of focusing on our own healing.
Right.
Especially after a breakup.
It's like we project our own insecurities or unresolved issues onto the other person.
Oh, interesting.
Thinking if we can change them, we'll somehow feel more complete ourselves.
I see.
But true change has to come from within.
Right.
You can't force someone to grow or heal if they're not ready or willing.
And he highlights this pattern, particularly among women.
Okay.
Of choosing partners they believe they can fix.
Interesting.
Almost as a way to protect themselves from getting hurt again.
It's like a defense mechanism.
Yeah.
They've been wounded in the past. So they subconsciously choose partners who won't challenge them emotionally.
Right.
Who won't trigger those old wounds.
But the irony is that often leads to even more hurt down the line.
Yes.
Because the relationship isn't built on a foundation of genuine connection and equality.
Exactly.
It becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy.
It does.
You're attracting partners who are, in a way, unavailable.
Right.
Or incapable of giving you what you truly need.
And it all circles back to the importance of that wilderness period.
Right.
Time of self-discovery and healing.
Yeah.
Until you've addressed those deep-seated fears and insecurities, you're likely to keep repeating the same patterns in your relationships.
I think this is where a lot of people get stuck. They know they need to do the inner work.
Yeah.
But it can feel so daunting.
It's a journey, not a quick fix.
Right.
But investing in your own healing is the greatest gift you can give yourself.
I love it.
And ultimately to any future partners.
And therapy can be a huge part of that.
Absolutely.
I love how Stefan normalizes seeking professional help. It's not a sign of weakness.
No.
But a sign of strength and commitment to your own well-being.
Exactly.
So let's say someone is committed to doing the work.
Okay.
They're in therapy, they're focusing on healing, but they're still finding it hard to move on.
Yeah.
What are some practical things they can do
to
rebuild their lives after a breakup?
Stefan suggests reconnecting with your passions, your hobbies, the things that bring you joy.
I love that.
It's about rediscovering who you are outside of the relationship Those parts of yourself that might have been neglected or put on hold.
It's about reclaiming your identity.
Yes.
And rediscovering those things that make you feel alive.
He also emphasizes the importance of nurturing your friendships and support system.
Your tribe.
Yes, your tribe is everything, especially during those tough times.
It's a reminder that you're not alone.
Right.
And that you have people who care about you.
And speaking of reminding yourself of your worth, Steph talks about the importance of setting new goals.
Yeah.
And creating a vision for your future.
It's like you're writing a new chapter in your story.
Exactly.
And this time you get to decide what happens.
He also encourages people to take care of their physical health.
Of course.
Because when you feel good physically, it's easier to feel good emotionally.
It's about showing yourself love and care. Through nourishing foods, movement, getting enough sleep.
All those things.
All those things that contribute to overall well-being.
And perhaps most importantly,
yeah,
he reminds us to be patient with ourselves.
Yes.
Healing takes time.
It does.
There will be good days and bad days.
Right.
Allow yourself to feel your emotions fully, but don't let them consume you.
It's a process, not a destination.
Yeah.
There's no magic formula or timeline for healing.
And he also reminds us that even if a relationship ends, it doesn't mean it was a failure. Sometimes relationships simply run their course. Sure. They serve a purpose in our lives, teach us valuable lessons, and then it's time to move on.
It's like chapters in a book.
Yes.
Some chapters are longer, some are shorter.
Right.
But they all contribute to the overall story.
And sometimes the most painful chapters lead to the most beautiful transformations.
So if you're going through a breakup right now, know that you're not alone.
You're not.
It's a painful process, but it's also an opportunity for growth and self-discovery.
Absolutely.
Take the time to heal.
Yes.
To reconnect with yourself and to trust that something even better is waiting for you on the other side.
Remember, you are worthy of a love that celebrates and cherishes the real you.
And that's what this journey is all about.
Yes.
Discovering who you are, what you truly want, and becoming the best version of yourself.
That's the goal.
Until next time, keep exploring.